Welcome back. It's exactly 2 after 10 o'clock, our final interview for the morning. And we welcome to the program Reg Nkosi, Executive Director and Head of Research for Money, Banking and Macroeconomics at First Source Money. A very good morning to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Reg, an all-important question. Yesterday, I interviewed Carl Niehaus. He indicated that he has resigned from the ANC. He's starting his own movement, and the focus is going to be on radical economic transformation. He has indicated that the ruling party has failed the people of the country. We are 28 years into democracy, but the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. I asked him what a radical economic transformation would look like, and he indicated two very, very important issues, and we would like you to analyze this for us. Number one being a land redistribution without compensation, obviously. And then he says that foremost is the nationalization of the Reserve Bank. And I'm wondering what the nationalization of the Reserve Bank would look like, what the impacts would be like on the country, positively or negatively.
Wow. Thanks very much again. It's an important question. And yes, I did hear as well that Carl Niehaus, former ANC member, long-standing member, is resigned and so on and so forth. I think it seems to me what you're talking about and what he is talking about are policies of the ANC, and which policies were put there by the people of the ANC, the majority of the ANC, and they're part of the resolutions of the ANC. And
what he has argued, Reg, is that these were put down a long time ago at the start of democracy, but there doesn't seem to be any action, very especially land redistribution without compensation. We know the EFF is also making noises about that. And then, of course, he's come to the issue around the Reserve Bank, nationalizing it. And you, obviously, as an economist and being head of research for money, banking, and macroeconomics, would be well placed to tell us and share your thoughts on the impacts of such actions being rolled out.
It would be dramatic, absolutely dramatic. Let's remember first, in Asia, some of the countries which were colonized by Europeans, the first few things they did were to ensure that land is brought back into the hands of the people. The banking system was such that it talks to the people themselves. The reserve banks obviously were nationalized. They also started building up a number of state-owned banks. So the nationalization of the Reserve Bank is a fundamental starting point for any economy that seeks to liberate itself. Here is why also. Monetary policy, which is conducted by the Reserve Bank or central banks the world over, just like fiscal policy, are some of the most critical policies of any democracy. If such democracy wants to enhance or to change the fortunes of the country, it must necessarily be in charge of these two key policies. To the extent that one of the policies is not administered or is not accountable to the people, then quite frankly, there is a lot of danger in that. Nationalization is essentially the transfer of a reserve bank or a central bank into the hands of democracy, that means the people, such that the people need decide as to what it is that the Reserve Bank has to do, whether promote the interests of the poor or promote the interests of the rich.
Mm.
That's why we have virtually all reserve banks. Well, I'm talking about almost 97 or 98% reserve banks that are nationalized, precisely for the reason that these are key instruments of change, key instruments of democracy. Therefore, by the ANC saying they want to nationalize, even if they have not nationalized that, so they've got so many excuses, they're missing a fundamental cog in the process of transforming this economy to be as vibrant as the US, as vibrant as Japan and the rest of the East Asia that we admire today, including China.
So, Rich, let's look at this slightly differently. We know that and I know that I go on about this issue because it's a very sore point with me, but every time I speak with an analyst or an economist or a politician, I bring up the issue of the large scale corruption in all sectors of the country, government, national corporates, right throughout at every point, at every touch point, there seems to be corruption. Should the Reserve Bank go the nationalization route, is there not a fear that there'll be corruption involved there as well? And how would that look
Absolutely.
like? How would that look like to you?
Absolutely. But let's first define corruption. Here the corruption that we've come to know is the corruption that goes on in the media and so on and so forth, Gupta and so on and so forth. But there's certain corruption that occurs in corporate that is used by institutions, international financial institutions, that actually capture an institution of state, and it, instead of serving the public, it serves their interests. That is the hidden corruption that has been known many, many times, but doesn't appear in the newspaper. Quite frankly, in my view, we do not want to see a reserve bank that is going to be, we've heard of ESCOM and Transnet and so on. We don't want them to go that route. But at the same time, we do not want a reserve bank captured by the IMF, the World Bank, the elite, so that it serves their interest. At the end of the day, the entire country is one to burn as a consequence of these institutions being corrupted by these foreign and the elite. So when a reserve bank is nationalized, we must fear that the likes of what we see in the transit and other SOEs never happen. But at the same time, in my view, many of these reserve banks are actually corrupt. However, it's the corruption that you and me do not talk about. But we only see this corruption through the poverty that you talked about earlier, the unemployment that you talked about earlier. But we know that the reserve banks the world over were able to eliminate poverty, eliminate unemployment. Why can't we eliminate it here? Don't you think there's corruption in this?
Absolutely. What will the process look like? And is it something that could be done in a relatively short space of time? And when it has been introduced, how is it going to impact positively on the poor of the country? Because that's exactly what we're wanting to see, isn't it? We want to see a change in the change in the situation of the poorest of the poor. We want to see employment. We want to see our youth off the streets and gainfully employed. We want to see that money turning and coming back into the economy so that we can be a self-sufficient machine, a machine that's turning, a machine that is truly well oiled.
Absolutely. The process can take pretty short. It all depends on how the government organizes itself. It will simply have to pay off the shareholders. That's about 20 million, or not much, actually. Forget about the billions that they talk about. It's just stories. Then Parliament will have to come in, put new, the Act of Parliament has to change. The Reserve Bank Act has to change. The Banks Act also has to change. It can be done quite quickly. Now, the fundamental issue here is about reversing some of the provisions within the Reserve Bank Act as well as the Banks Act, where government will be allowed, like it is in the fiscal side, to send money to the sectors of the economy that are so important for the poor, so important for SMEs, so important for development. Right now, as we speak, unfortunately, such sectors are starved of so much money that's necessary to improve lives and to condemn poverty to the end. So the process can be pretty easy. It's just about the will. We have seen this in many other countries. Recently, one of the European countries did so. I mean, also in Brazil, they reorganized the Reserve Bank to serve the people. Now, it's just about the right policies that are injected in the Reserve Bank or put by Parliament, where in the Parliament, we have the Reserve Bank being accountable to all of us and giving us a sense of how it is daily or monthly or whatever period serving the broader public and not the interest of the very few.
So, Reg, when this process kicks in, is the ordinary man on the street, will he have a say in the matter at all? Will he be engaged? Will the masses be engaged, or will government make these decisions? Will the ruling party make the decisions and then just inform the people at large, the general public, that we are going this route because we believe it's going to serve the needs of our people and our country, and it is going to start it's going to kickstart the economy, and it's going to create jobs and all the good things that we need in this country: better healthcare, education, housing, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, indeed, the government will have to do it without having to consult people. People have already, in a way, been consulted, if we really look at it. So the government has to act pretty quickly. Now, when I say government here, it's not just Pretoria. Okay, it is the Parliament as a whole. So Parliament has got representatives of the people. To the extent that Parliament is consulted and is part of the process, then quite frankly, even the policies that emerge from there will be such that they are there to serve the general public. Hospitals, crumbling roads, and so on and so forth. Money can be directed to there by the Reserve Bank. In Canada and many other places, we have such examples. Right in fact, across the country. It's just about the will and the control of the Reserve Bank by the people themselves through the Parliament.
My final question then to you is, when a situation like this, is going to be implemented, does the South African government have to engage with foreign partners, people that we enjoy bilateral trades with, Western countries, other countries as well, huge investors in South Africa, foreign investors in South Africa? Does that process have to happen as well? Or is this a unilateral decision by the South African government? And last but not least, would that also impact on the Rand? Will the Rand fall further or immediately start strengthening?
I'm not aware the world over, including in the UK and recently elsewhere in New Zealand and so on, where the government or the Parliament consulted foreign investors and so on. This is a unilateral decision because monetary policy is a national prerogative.
Okay.
All they have to do is to ensure that it is done appropriately. Full stop. Now, bilateral relations do, of course, they matter. I'm aware of some people who are foreigners who have shares in the Reserve Bank. That can be sorted pretty easily. You don't necessarily have to ask foreign investors. In fact, the foreign investors are some of the people who actually are behind some of these policies that are putting you and me in poverty.
Absolutely, and enriching them in the process.
Absolutely. A country that just looks at foreign investors and fails to understand the biggest investor is the poor person who is suffering and dying, and therefore collapsing the medical system, the financial system in the country. It's because those are the people we should be worried about, not foreign investors who come and go.
Okay.
Now, the Rand you asked about quite quickly.
Yes.
there's certainly going to be an impact on the rand. You must remember, when we say the rand is being impacted here, there are only about 5 to 11 companies that essentially control the movement of the rand. Okay, and you call them markets.
Mm-hmm.
So these people with specific interests, and those interests may not necessarily coincide with the interests of the 50 million South Africans who are starving or who are here. To the extent that the rand is going to shift, it will shift temporarily, but it will come back quite immediately.
Okay, that's good news indeed. There's so much more I do want to talk to you about regarding this issue, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. I look forward to talking with you again sometime in the future. Thank you indeed for your insights on the issue regarding the nationalization of the Reserve Bank here in South Africa. You go well, and all the very best for 2023.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That was Regan Corsi, Executive Director and Head of Research for Money, Banking and Macroeconomics at First Source Money. The time is 18 after 10 o'clock, of course, way over closing time for me this morning. A big thank you to my producer and controller, and that's you, Abdul Salam. Thank you indeed. To the rest of you, please take care on the roads. We've already heard of very many horrific accidents on our national roads. So please take care, drive with caution, and be alert for even the idiot on the opposite side of the road, inshallah. Till tomorrow morning at the same time as always. Just to remind you also that next up is Juz 11 by Ahmed Al-Ajmi. Do listen to that beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran from me, Julie Ali. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.